senior reporter and team insider for NewYorkJets.com, NYJets.com. Eric, welcome to the show.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. Woody, congratulations. You're halfway to 1,000, I hear.
Yeah, the governor gave me the trophy today, and he said, I'll come back for 1,000. I said, well, I won't be here. I'll be dead. So, Eric, we're really thrilled that you're joining us, and we can talk about the New York Jets as we continue to kind of go around. And we booked you to be on the show before something happened in New York. So we actually, as Les just said, we'd like to talk to you about the New York Jets, but you know, there's a little side issue that probably is the most important thing. And I would ask you the first most important question to me. Are the Jets, in a football way, better off having Ryan Fitzpatrick be the quarterback of this team?
Well, it's an interesting question, and a lot of people have posed that lately because in Fitzpatrick, you're getting a quarterback, a seasoned vet, been around 11 years in the National Football League. He's seen it all. He's had experience under Chan Gailey before with the Bills from 2010 to 2012, and of course Chan is the offensive coordinator here right now. So very familiar with the system, comfortable with it, smart guy, knows where to go with the football. But with all that being said, Geno Smith was really having a good camp, guys. I know with his practices and things like that, but he had only 2 interceptions and 1 strip sack through about 9 practices before the incident Wednesday. Well, actually, it was Tuesday. I got my days mixed up here in Florham Park. So the Jets were excited about the progress Geno was showing after in his 3rd season, especially under Chan Gailey. But with that being said, I think they were really happy to get Fitzpatrick on board in March, acquiring the veteran from the Houston Texans. And you look at Fitzpatrick last season, 17 touchdown passes, only 8 interceptions. The one thing that Todd Bowles wants from his quarterback position is less turnovers. And Fitzy really protected the football well last year. Now, the big thing for him, guys, going forward is he didn't take any first-team reps in camp. So he's got to get on the same page with Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, of course, and then his center, Nick Mangold, because, you know, in a few weeks, this regular season is going to be underway as the Jets play host to the Cleveland Browns.
You know, Eric, Brandon Marshall we know very well, of course. And
Eric Decker we know very well also.
But when the quarterback's not doing real well, Brandon Marshall usually is an unhappy camper. Is Brandon Marshall happier with Geno Smith or Fitzpatrick, do you think?
Well, guys, Brandon embraced Geno from the get-go, and I'm sure you guys heard about that in Colorado, where he actually lived with him during the spring. He wanted to develop that chemistry with him, and those two were connecting early and often throughout training camp. So I'm sure, just like for everybody, the players, the veterans spoke about it, a few veterans spoke about it on Tuesday in Florham Park, was, yeah, it is a blow because this guy was having a good camp. But with that being said, Marshall has played with a number of quarterbacks throughout his career. And, guys, you know this better than most, is that he's always been productive wherever he's been. And, you know, like I said, Fitzpatrick, veteran quarterback, he's going to get that ball out quick. And Marshall's going to be a huge asset for the team in the red zone because the Jets were 32nd in the NFL in red zone efficiency this year. When you're putting him on the outside, he's 6'4", 230 pounds, as you guys know. And then Eric Decker across the way, 6'3", 215 pounds. So those are big targets for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, sure. Just to follow up on that, since people in Denver are so familiar with both those wide receivers, that Eric Decker didn't really have the production last year that he did when he was in Colorado. Brandon Marshall, we know the history with Jay Cutler and the issues he's had there. But in talking to Brandon last year, having been his biggest critic, and we've kind of made up, but he was the most functional person on a dysfunctional Chicago Bears team. And with this happening in the Jets camp, the old Brandon Marshall probably would have been right in the middle of it, but I think he's matured to the point where he actually can be a sort of voice of reason in that locker room.
It's still scary. It's still scary to me.
Would you agree with that, Eric, or do you think that's still scary?
I think you're right on point there. I think you're right on point. Is that, you know, ever since he came over from the Chicago Bears, he's been the model teammate, and he's kind of set the tone for the rest of the young receivers at practice. It's always been in the wide receiver drill. There's been Brandon 1 and then Eric Decker 2. And wide receiver Carl Durali always looks at his wide receivers and says, watch 15 do this. And, you know, Marshall knows that playing with so many quarterbacks throughout his career, he's going to have to get accustomed to playing with Fitzpatrick now, and I'm sure he's disappointed as well as all the Jets are, the way this went down with Geno Smith. But I think Brandon's going to handle this in stride, and I think he's going to be one of the leaders on this football team.
He's Eric Allen. He's with NewYorkJets.com, and all our guests brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Hey, Eric, if you look at the roster of running backs, it looks like the perfect situation for running back by committee. You got Powell, you got Stacy, you got Ridley, and you have Ivory, right? You got Ivory. But from what I understand, are the Jets trying to make Ivory the every down back? Do they want him to be the featured back?
No, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that. Todd Bowles has been pretty clear about that. He said, listen, we're going to have to spell guys, and it depends on the game. With that being said, Chris Ivory, hard-charging running back, he gets downhill in a hurry. I think he's got some underrated speed because he can turn the corner. But the best blocking back in the backfield is Bilal Powell, and I still think he figures to be your third down back. He's having a tremendous camp. You mentioned Zach Stacy. Zach Stacy's having a good camp as well. The Jets got great value on draft weekend, shipping a 7th-round pick out to St. Louis for Stacy. And then the wild card in the whole mix is Stephen Ridley, a former Patriot who's coming off a knee injury. He has not participated in team drills yet. He's moving pretty well on the side, moving upfield. He's running pretty well, but he's a wild card in this mix. But as far as the starter's concerned, the guy who's going to get the bulk of the carries, you would figure, is definitely Chris Ivory.
Eric, you've mentioned Todd Bowles 3 or 4 different times, but I have great respect for him, and he's well respected throughout the National Football League. And I really hated to see what happened to him because he's such a stable, sort of calm kind of guy. How is he dealing in the aftermath of what happened, and how have you experienced your time with him in regard to after such a vocal sort of outgoing coach in Rex Ryan? How's the transition been to Todd Bowles, excepting for that one incident?
Yeah, it's kind of night and day. And frankly, Todd Bowles said it. He didn't mince words the other day. He said, oh, I'm pissed off. He was really disappointed in what went down in the locker room the other day between Geno Smith and IK Anapali, who's now a Buffalo Bill, by the way. They picked him up on waivers. But, you know, Todd Bowles, he's not going to make a lot of proclamations. He's not going to get carried away. One of his favorite sayings early in spring and early in training camp was, hey, it's two-hand touch football. We don't know too much about these guys right now. He's not going to talk about the players in too many superlatives. He's not going to have too many predictions or boasts. It's kind of no-nonsense. And another thing is, you're right. I think he's one of the most well-respected coaches in the National Football League. I talked to Bruce Arians about this at the Combine in Indianapolis, and Bruce Arians said, hey, listen, I wouldn't have been named Coach of the Year if I didn't have Todd Bowles, who, oh, by the way, was named NFL Assistant Coach of the Year last year. And he's had tremendous mentors along the way. Most notably, you talk about Arians, he played for him all the way back at Temple. You think about Bill Parcells, he played for Joe Gibbs. So this guy's got his act together. I think it's going to take some time. Like he said, listen, creating a culture doesn't happen overnight. But he was swift the other day, guys. He didn't hide from it. He went down before practice and said, here's the deal. There was a fight in the locker room. IK punched Geno Smith. Geno Smith's going to be out 6 to 10 weeks. We released IK Anapali, and he was asked if IK Anapali was a starter, would he have done the same thing? And he said, yep.
Do you think Rex was sticking it to the Jets, or is this a personnel move for a guy that I think participated in 37 sacks and had only 2 tackles last year, was a middle rounder, 6th rounder, I think.
37 plays, you mean?
Yeah. What did I say?
Sacks.
37 plays that he appeared in 6 games. Do you think Rex was just kind of really coming back, or does he like this guy?
I really don't think it was gamesmanship, guys, because the Jets did take him in the 6th round last year. Adam Polly, GM John Idzik was at the head at the time. Of course, the Jets have a new GM and Mike McCagnon. And to be honest with you, if you really look at the numbers, Adam Polly would have been one of those guys fighting for a roster spot. But Rex knows about him, having coached him last year, and he was always considered a project coming out of Louisiana Tech. And I thought actually he was having a pretty solid camp. But if he was here with the Jets, it was not a sure shot that he was going to make the team. And I don't know what the numbers are in Buffalo. If it's a sure shot, he's going to make the team. But knowing Rex like I do, I think that he picked them up based on strictly a personnel move.
Eric, appreciate your time. Got a Twitter handle?
At @EAllenJet.
Easy enough.
Yeah, we do appreciate your time. We've talked about Todd Bowles, one of the most respected coaches in the NFL, and Eric is one of the most well-respected senior reporters, we should say, and insiders. We hope you'll join us again, Eric.
I definitely will, and congratulations once again, Woody.
Yeah, on a meaningless title. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Eric Allen, go read him at NewYorkJets.com.